Welcome to the podcast. My name is Michelle Sinclair. This is the Real Healing Institute. Today we are talking about viruses and the creation of them. So you must understand that human beings have created their own viruses. Every virus is a destructive, living consciousness impulse made visible. It targets with the impulse of destructive consciousness targeted at the moment that the virus took on form. I was very clear about this aspect of existence when I was on earth in the persona of Jesus. The Jews had a rigid tradition of washing cups before drinking from them, and I told them explicitly that they should not be worried about what went into their mouths. They should be concerned about what came out of their mouths and their minds and hearts. And at that time, science had not discovered the presence of virus, but it was agreed that disease came from eating and drinking from dirty utensils. But I knew the disease had originally come out of the minds and hearts of savagely angry people. Thereafter, it was propagated by the division of cells, but it carried within itself forever the instinct and consciousness which initially brought it into being. AIDS has been no accident. It has emerged from the consciousness forces of self-indulgence and destructive emotional reaction between sexual partners. Submerged hatred and anger can drive people into a sexual act, leaving a residue of sickness behind it in mind, emotions, and body. Because emotional attunement has not always motivated the sexual act between men and women, they have known severe disappointment and a lack of release and fulfillment. When this happens, the male sexual energy dwindles and it has to be rekindled by images of sexual perversions. And as a result, the pornography industry has become big business in some countries. It panders to the body instincts alone. Out of pornography have come the lack of respect for women and a mechanical, non-emotional sexual act, together with rapidly increasing rape and child sexual abuse. People giving way to these abominable acts of depraved cruelty will surely reap the consequences either in this life or a future incarnation. So these unhealthy conditions are not sent by Allah, but are a natural consequence of breaking the laws of existence. I'm going to tell you this one more time. AIDS has been no accident. It has emerged from the consciousness forces of self-indulgence and destructive emotional reactions between sexual partners. Submerged hatred and anger can drive people into a sexual act, leaving a residue of sickness behind it in the mind, body, and emotions. And you must understand that human beings have created their very own viruses. And every virus is a destructive living consciousness impulse made visible. Targeting with the impulse of destructive consciousness targeted at the moment that the virus took on form. Here's the thing, let's say that you have got some type of virus, some type of illness, some type of sickness. This is very similar to the way that entities can only attach to what is present. Let's say that you were expelling demons, but yet you had this great fear that, if I expel these demons from this person, I'm afraid that they're then going to attach to me. That feeling of fear, that belief that this thing can attach to me is what will make it attach to you. So therefore, if you believe that demons can be these scary things that can attach to you, don't work to remove them, because they will then attach to you because of your belief. The consciousness form in which they were created will have a resonance with that fear that you have within you. I knew this man one time. Let me give you some examples here. So I used to work a lot in ceremony, and during ceremonies people would have demons that would hop out of them. I would visibly see this black entity hop out. Now the thing about this is I have no fear of them. I know that I am the light, And I know that my light that I have is the love, and it is so extremely powerful that there is absolutely nothing that can attach to me that is not light. So when they would hop out, I would look at these demons and I would say, get out. But I would kind of laugh at them like I'm not afraid of them. There's no fear. I was just as pleasant to them as I would be to anyone else. And I would almost laugh like, what are you doing here? You got to get out, and you know that. And these things would run out of the house. I'm talking they would run out of the house, but they would go over and they would watch from the door what was still occurring in there, and I would let them, because why would I not? Sure, cool, you can tune in. I know that you wish that you were also light and that originally you came from it. I'm not going to judge you. You can sit out there and you can watch what's happening in here. Totally cool, man. Go ahead. But I had no fear of them. Whereas I knew this man who had all this shamanic training. Oh, and this is the way that it needs to be done, and these are the things that need to be done, and this way is not the right way, and this is what he believed. And he had this belt that he would tie around his waist, and he said, oh, it's blessed. You can't do ceremonies unless you have this, or the demons are going to jump out and get on you. And I was like, you don't know me, man. What you have actually done is you have made an arrangement with these demons, and you have allowed them to stay, not only to stay, but to attach to your belt. You have a deal with them. You are now working with them. I'm not working with them. I'm demanding that they leave my presence. Whereas you are allowing them to stay, and then you're taking them with you to this person's house and to that and for every person that you're doing ceremony with, you are taking it with you everywhere that you go. So you can see how somebody believes that they need to be, that they need a device, they need some type of tool that can take care of these demons for them, because they are not in their power, because they don't know that they can be. They're just living in a false world that for them is extremely real, but for them, they're living on the danger zone, man, and they don't even know it. Do I want to have that belt that he would tie around his waist sitting in my house? Heck no. I don't want anything to do with something like that. And I would imagine if these people were also spiritually perceptive and had eyes to see what it was that they were doing, that they wouldn't do it. But people often don't believe. When they don't possess something, when it is not within their wheelhouse or their power, or they have been indoctrinated with something because somebody else told them that this is the way that it needs to be, and they have believed in it, they then dictate their life and their reality on that particular thing. And is it beneficial? No. It is extremely harmful when we are believing something that could cause us harm. But when we're believing something, we think, oh no, this is a good thing because this person told me it's a good thing. And so, we just believe in it. I guess my whole point in saying this is question everything. Because somebody says, oh, I was born into this, and so I have this lineage in my family, which means that I'm very special. Well, here's the deal. It means nothing. The meat suit that you were born into, yes, it plays certain roles so that you can achieve and accomplish certain things in this life, the one that you chose. But you are no more special than anybody else. But when we believe in, our specialness so much, we believe in this, then we have placed ourselves, above somebody else, and we believe that, no, this is the right way to do things. And through doing this, we can cause serious consequences to this when the things that we are believing are not in alignment with the truth. So when you're believing something that does not have a heavenly result, let's say we're living in heaven, I'm doing ceremony for somebody in heaven for whatever particular reason happens to be suffering because they've gone to my house and they've asked me for help. Am I going to believe that I need some devices to protect me from what that person has going on, that I need some type of tools? Or am I living in heaven and I can say, okay, man, what do you need? Okay, let's do that. Okay, cool. And have no negative consequences for myself. That is the result because we're living in heaven. So when you're doing anything or thinking anything or believing anything, ask yourself, if I was living in heaven, because we are, how would this play out in my life? How would this be different than how I'm thinking about it right now or how I've been dealing about it right now? And then you will begin to see, this is a really great test. If I was living in heaven, because we are, what would I be thinking about this? How would I be feeling about that situation? What would I be believing about this thing? And when we can think and act in this way, it'll change things. Now I say that to say this: if you have a sickness, if you have a virus, whatever was the initial cause of it, like it was saying in there, was it anger? Was it hate? Was there resentment? Was whatever it was, that there was something so extreme that it took on a form of a virus, whatever that energy frequency was, whatever that vibration was, if you tune yourself to that vibration or frequency, that is when that virus will come and get you. That is when it will attach to you, because you are emitting the same frequency of that virus, therefore it can attach. This is the same as if someone was removing a demon, or let's say some type of entity from a home or something along those lines. If they are resonating at the same frequency as that thing, it then can attach to them. Because you get what you are, not what you wish or not what you want or all the things, but you get what it is that you are. Now, I have a good example of this, because several years ago I was working with a woman, and I was not at the state that I'm at now. This is probably, let's say, 5-6 years ago. And so I still had some fear of demons and fear around these kinds of things, because I was still somewhat in the old religious doctrine. I wasn't fully understanding the intricacies of what it was that I was going through, even with the Christ letters, and I hadn't fully stepped into my power yet. I still had, moments of doubt or things like this. It wasn't even so much doubt as there just wasn't a solid, well, of course this is the way it is, because I hadn't had this major enlightenment download come through to me to eradicate all of that yet at this point. So I'm working with this woman who believes that she has demons, and she's showing me pictures and she's showing me stuff in her house and all the things. And I'm like, dang, this is pretty freaking extreme. She's covered in bruises. And she would wake up and she's like, I don't know how these things came. So she leaves, after I've worked with her, and I was pretty confident. I'm going to say that I was 97% confident. That doesn't cut it. When she left my office and then I go home, I was completely disturbed, and it was probably several days of me feeling that whatever that was that she had on her, I was then feeling it. How did this happen? Because I was afraid. I was working with her. I don't know if a comment was made by her or if something was said. Whatever happened, all of a sudden there was this feeling of fear of, maybe it attached to me. And that was all it took. That was all it took, was that fear. And then I was then suffering for how many freaking days. I had to, I paid some lady to do a clearing for me, because this is the kind of thing that she did, and that did work. I believed that it would, and so when she did that clearing, she was a very wonderful woman, it did clear it for me. But it took me to that point where I had to pay somebody else to come and do this, because I didn't believe that I could do it. I didn't even know how to do it. I didn't even know, what do I do? I feel like I took this out of this woman, now it's in me, what do I do? And so I just took the only avenue that I knew. And so then through that, looking back on this now, it was like, oh, well, of course that happened, because I had this fear and whatever else in my home life at that time. I was still married back then, it wasn't the greatest thing. I wasn't coming home to someone who was supportive of like, hey, let me help you out with that. I was coming home to somebody that's like, yeah, okay, well, you better take care of that. I don't know what to tell you. There was no support. So now, if I'm working, if I'm clearing a house, if I'm doing anything, there is zero fear, because I'm in my power. I've understood, I've gotten rid of all those things. So I can say from a place of knowing, because I experienced it on that end and I've experienced it on this end, that when you are truly in your power, when you're in the light, there's literally nothing that can harm you, including things that other people might want to put on you. Let's say that somebody wants to spell on you, right? They want to cast some kind of spell on you, or they want to say or do something to you. I know that anyone that even casts words in my direction not only is going to get the karma from what it is that they're going to do, but because of who it is that I am and what I have embodied and the light and the love that I am, that I admit, I know that it's going to come back on them quite extreme, like to the max, that they're going to experience it more so than they would if it was someone else. Why? Because I believe in this, because I've been told by the divine that this is the case, and there is great purpose behind it. Because if someone is going to cast something out, let's say that they're listening to this and then they want to curse me, this is the divine's way of saying, I told you. You see, it's true. What you heard was true. See what you're experiencing? Did you notice how you sent this negative thing out to that person and then it came and it fell back on your own head? I've been shown that it is to show that what it is that I'm saying is true, that you reap as you sow. And so it serves great purpose, and I've actually experienced this before. One time I was told, you guys know, because I'm just half the time channeling a message or just speaking or whatever, but I was told by the divine to say something very specific in one of my recordings and to put a date on it. And I was told after the fact that somebody listened to that they were making fun of me, and that they got a very specific date, and then something happened to them. And it changed the way that they thought, because something happened to them, and it needed to happen to them to get them to shut up and to get them to look at themselves rather than gossiping and casting things out towards other people. So it was a blessed gift that they were given by suffering when they were trying to cause someone else suffering, which is always the case. Because it's only when we look back on our life, and it's only when we realize, like, oh, I was doing that thing and then this was the consequence. It's only when we reap the consequences of our sowing that we understand, like, oh man, I'm reaping the consequences of my sowing. But when people can't have the forethought, when they can't look deep, they're going to suffer in some way. So if somebody chooses, or they want to lie about somebody else, and they want to just make up some blatant lies about somebody, and the person who's on the receiving end of that is like, oh, this is such a terrible thing, oh, this is not a good thing, oh, this has happened to me. Well, first of all, they need to look at their life and they need to think, did I do this to somebody? Is this karma from what I did? Or was I afraid? Did I fear that this was going to happen and create that consciousness form, and now it's happening to me? When they can look at themselves really deeply and see, like, oh, this is why this is happening. Then on the other end of it, when that person who is harming them, spreading lies or doing whatever it is, when the person who's on the receiving end of this can look at that person and just know, forgive them, Father, for they do not know what they're doing, and send them only love and not malice, not anything, and just know that the truth will come out. This is what people who know me know the truth, right? And people who don't can believe whatever it is that they want. So if somebody wanted to say something about me, cool, man, you'll figure it out or you won't, but that's none of my business, it has nothing to do with me. And so if somebody is trying to intentionally cause harm, just know, don't get worked up about it. Don't even let it get to you, because the truth always comes out, and you don't need to defend yourself or to say anything for that truth to come out. It will just come out. I've witnessed this in my own life. Don't say it, don't speak nothing, let them do whatever they want to do. Oh, look, the truth came out, perfect. And someone defended me when I wasn't even there, and then everybody's perception shifted. Perfect, we don't even have to do these things ourselves. And know that if someone was trying to cause you some kind of harm, that it is going to come back on them, and that this is a good thing. We shouldn't even judge that. I used to, right? I would think about my ex and I would think, man, I don't know that he's going to be able to handle his karma when it comes back to him. And I was like stressed out about it, of thinking, like, honestly, he might kill himself, he might whatever. Like, I honestly didn't think that he could handle it. And then the divine comes in and goes, yeah, but you know what happened to you? And I think of myself, and at the lowest part, that I was at the lowest part when I wanted to kill myself for months, for all these things, and I thought I barely got through it, but it was that pushed me to a point where I had to heal. And I realized in that moment, which I already knew, but I realized it then for him, was that suffering that I went through was the greatest gift that I had been given while I was here on this earth, and therefore it could be for him as well. And so instead of being stressed out and thinking, oh, I don't know that he's going to be able to handle it through his karma, like I don't want this, negative thing to happen. It was like, I guess it's none of my business. When his karma comes to him, if he handles it or if he doesn't, also none of my business. But hopefully once it comes to him, he suffers so greatly that it forces him to get to a place where he has to heal it. And the divine told me years ago that he would gain enlightenment while he was here on this earth. So maybe it will be that will push him to that point. So even the great suffering that comes from other people, let's say somebody's doing something terrible to you, just stand by and wait for it to happen. But when we get to this point where we don't want others to have to suffer, then we need to reassess, because this was me. I was like, oh, but I don't want this. Oh, this poor person. And then it was realizing, no, but that was the best blessing that you had. Why would you want somebody to not have that themselves? Not that I'm wishing suffering on anybody. I'm absolutely not. I'm only sending love all the time. But I know that this is part of the process. It can be part of the process. Is that sometimes there needs to be that suffering to get to that place of, I can't stand this anymore, I have to heal this, I can't keep living this way, and then truly looking at your life through a microscope and realizing, oh, yep, I've been doing that, it came back to me, oh, I was speaking that, I was thinking that, I did that to that person, I said this, I did this, and all of these things have now resurfaced and come back and imploded on your life, and then it is time to truly look and live the rest of your life not in that same way. And not even look back and be like, oh, poor me, what a terrible thing it was that I went through. But look back and be like, dang, I'm so glad that the universe shoved that in my face, that it was undeniable that I had created my own reality around me. But until we remain, as long as we remain unaware of this, that it is truly us and that we are reaping as we sow, the seeds that we are planting, the things that we're fearing, the things that we're hoping, the things that we're believing in, the things that we focus on, the things that we speak about, the things that we've done to other people, those are the things that come back to us. So, ask yourself this question. If I was living in heaven, because we are, what would my life be like? How would I think about that person? How would I think about that situation? What would I think about this? What would I think about that? And then think it. And speak on it, and act on it, and watch the world around you change. And when it doesn't happen in 30 seconds, give it a day, then give it a week, then give it a month, then give it a year, then give it 2 years, then just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, because I'm going to tell you it's going to change. Life is going to shift. This is what has happened for me. I am the proof of this, that when you shift the way that you're believing and the way that you're thinking, and that you trust the divine, and that you expect that good and wonderful things are going to happen, and that you're going to be cared for along the way, and that all these things are just going to come along, and that this is going to be the result, and this is the way it's going to go, then that is the way that it goes. And pretty soon you're going to find yourself living in the most beautiful place on earth, surrounded by people that care about you, and everything's going to completely shift in your life. But it is all based on the beliefs that we hold. It is all based on those things that we continually think, that we're just so unaware that we're even thinking them, because they're just part of our programming, that we just haven't questioned enough things. Why do I think that? Why would I believe that? If we were living in heaven, what would I think about? What would I speak about? What would I act about? Who would I meet? And then expect this, and miraculous things are going to happen in your life. This is what I have for you guys here today. Thanks for joining me. If you would like a private session with me, you can check that out on my website, which is linked down below. Love you guys. Take care, and I will see you in the next one.